Welcome back, everybody. I'm the Dr. Bob Lee from 107.5 WBLS and Opens BronxNet TV. Our next guest is a candidate in the special election for the 12th City Council District, and she joins us to speak about what she intends to do in serving her community if elected, and to share the work that her organization is doing, I Raise Girls and Boys Corporation, and what she's doing with our youth. Please welcome to the show, Shanequa Moore. Welcome, welcome, welcome.
Thank you so much.
Tell us what you're doing with that organization first. It's a great organization. I hear a lot about it. Tell us about that, and then tell us about your run for City Council.
Absolutely. So thank you so much, Bob, for having me. It's always a pleasure chatting with you and just keeping you abreast and all the things I've been working on in the community. Through my nonprofit, I Raise Girls and Boys International, we have been providing a lot of essential services to children and families, especially during COVID. This has been one of the most challenging times that we've faced as a society. And one of the most important things for me as a CEO was making sure my organization was knitted in the community and really providing that one-on-one services that parents and children really needed. And so in the past 6 months, since the last time we spoke, we have been working on a lot of STEM programs, literacy programs, as well as developing coding programs for children. Yeah. We've also provided parent support services and counseling services for kids, especially as they were reintegrating back into school. That's presenting a lot of challenges with New York City Department of Education, not necessarily preparing parents appropriately for school opening. So we have been very integral and just that piece in terms of helping schools develop safety plans to make sure kids are returning to school back safely, and making sure that principals are not forgetting that crucial piece, which is the social emotional well-being of kids. So that's what we've been doing, just really providing that concrete and one-on-one support to principals as well as to parents and kids.
And you're in that council member District 12, huh?
Yes, that is correct. I'm also running for a city council in my community where I was raised as a teenager, and where I've been doing a lot of work. Actually, where I founded my nonprofit, was right in District 12 about 8 years ago.
That's great. So what are some of the issues that you want people to know about that you are working on?
So there are things that I've been championing for the last 18 years. That's children and families. I consider myself a child's advocate. I've been advocating for the rights of kids and for families for as long as I can remember. I'm a licensed social worker, and I believe that my calling is being able to bring adequate resources and support to kids that are vulnerable and that don't necessarily have a voice. And also supporting parents and families to make sure they're whole and to make sure that they have what they need to be able to thrive. I'm also a very firm advocate in public school education. I have grown up in the public school system, and I actually grew up on Hooked on Phonics. My mother back then was really, really big on education. Yeah. I always tell people I didn't have a lot, but I had education, and that helped me throughout life. And so I believe that our public school education needs to be completely reformed so that our kids have the quality education that they deserve. And I have a lot of different areas and vision that I foresee in terms of supporting that reform and the Department of Education.
Give me one area that you're working on that's dear to your heart.
So one that's really dear is school social workers in every school. Right now, we have thousands of kids that are not receiving mandated services because of lack of school social workers. Also, right now, the average ratio to school social worker in New York City is about one social worker to about 700 kids. That means a lot of kids are not receiving services that they need to be able to excel in school. And when you think about the child, you have to think about the child holistically, not just in the area of academic. And a large part of that is making sure they have that social emotional support. So one of the things I support and would love to get rolling if I'm elected as city council member is to make sure we have school social workers in every school providing those necessary one-on-one and group-based services to our kids, especially in light of COVID, where kids have been experiencing social isolation and quarantining for such a long time.
Yeah, and who are some of the people that you have to talk to try to get that going? You have to talk to the Department of Education, United Federation of Teachers. Who are some of those people,
I
or
think
some of those organizations?
it's definitely the New York City Department of Education, but it's also talking to parents. I think a lot of times parents are left out of the decision making table. They're left out of conversations, and they often don't necessarily feel like their voices are being properly represented. So I think it's bringing all of those agencies like the New York City Department of Education together, and United Federation of Teachers, and parents as a community, and really looking at how we see our Department of Education reimagined or reformed.
Now, there are a couple of other people that are trying to run. What brings you out over the top of everybody else?
So I think there's a lot that brings me out. Number one, I am a public servant. I've been a public servant for as long as I can remember. I want to say since my first summer youth job. And that's when I was 14 years old and worked at a foster care agency. From there, I've devoted. This is not something that I just thought of. I've devoted my entire life to public service. I was also working with New York State as a state investigator for 8 years, where I learned a lot about policies and laws. I'm the only young Black woman that's running. There's never been an African-American woman to hold that seat. And as an African-American millennial woman, I believe I'm the best candidate to get the job done. I'm also a single mother. I'm the only single mother that's running. And that in itself allows me to connect to a lot of other mothers with that shared lived experience. And it will allow me to make better decisions such as childcare and education and remote learning and those other things that mothers that are single really need. So I think all of that in itself really is what stands me out amongst my opponents.
Yeah. And I think you're talking about we need more social workers in our schools. Does that stem from your early on working with as a caseworker aide at the family support system?
That's
at
exactly.
age 14?
I was at the family support system at 14 years old, and that's where I fell in love with the child welfare work. It was at 14 years old. I was just learning how to type. Back then, there was like this typing program that I learned, and I was just doing filing at the time, but I developed such a love. And from there, I just went on to studying it. I went on to studying psychology in undergraduate, social work in graduate school, and just, through my work in my nonprofit, you'll see a lot of the causes that I've been championing. I didn't wait for a position to open to champion these causes. I created it because I saw a need. And I think the leader that is elected in this office needs to be able to show that track record, not necessarily just showing up to the scene because the seat open, but to show the track record and the history of what they've been able to do on their own. And I'm really proud to say I've been able to do a lot in funding it by myself.
All right, there you go. All right, sell it. And where do we go for more information on you?
So anyone that wants more information specifically on my campaign, they can visit my website at www.more, MOORE, FOR, district12.com. Or if you would like to shoot me a Facebook message, you can reach me on Facebook under Shanequa Moore, and I love to chat with you and to hear more about how I can help.
Shanequa Moore, candidate for Bronx County, District 12. Yeah, I know that area there, and also I Raise Girls, Boys, and Girls and Boys International Corporation. Thank you so much for all the work that you do. Thank you for rolling up your sleeves, and thank you for wanting to serve in that special way. And you have a lot of background. You have you're not new to this because you started at age 12 wanting to do something and make some moves in our city. So good luck to you, and thank you for all that you're doing.
Thank you so much, Bob. I appreciate this time.
Stay safe. Be blessed. We love you.
Thank you.
What? Wait. What? It's over? Wow. It's funny how time flies when we're having fun. Unfortunately, that's all the time we have for today's show. I want to thank you, our guest, for joining us, and you, our viewers, for tuning in and checking it all out. You can follow us on BronxNet TV for continued coverage. We've got you covered like a blanket. Thank you so much for letting us share in this space and time with you. And always remember this, what you are is God's gift to you, and what you make of yourself is your gift to God. So choose your choice. Let your choice control the chooser. And remember, whether you say you can or you can't, either way, you're right. Keep it tuned right here. We've got you. And keep me tuned over 107.5 WBLS too. Of the Dr. Bob Lee. From all of us here at BronxNet TV, have a great and enjoyable day. We love you all. Peace.